Let's move to charts next. I think you'll all find the charts part very interesting. Again, this is one of the features which Excel is really good in. And this is one of, I think, again, this is one of Excel's best features. So first, I'll create some very basic charts using this data only. I'll so there's one more function that I want you to know. There's this hide function also in Excel. Suppose you want to hide this column. Simply simply use this feature hide. And suppose you want to display it at a later point, you can use this to unhide it. This particular feature. So I'll delete this for now. Um, let's make a simple chart. Suppose I want to see the distribution of all these types of items and their amount. Suppose I want to see the distribution of this. I go to the insert tab, go to the charts one, and here I have a 2D pie or a 3D pie, any kind of distribution I can see here. Suppose this is the distribution. So this shows me that food is this one. This is food itself. Yes, this is food. So food has a very high kind of distribution. And to make it clearer, I want to add the data labels as well. So it tells me what is the amount of each of them, right? So it displays each of these values. But let's say I want to see the percentages. We calculated the percentages in a separate row here, right? In a separate column here in the in this column, right? Calculated these percentages. But suppose I want to see that in a chart. So what I can do here is I can go to data labels. I can go to more options here. And here, instead of seeing the value, let me see the percentage. So it now shows me the percentage of these of all these items. So it tells me that 28%, this label 28% has the maximum. So these two items have a maximum distribution. So that is the pie chart. And of course, there are other features. You can change the position of the legend, very basic features. And you guys would, I think, in some of your lab courses also, you will cover some of these features. You will use some of these features because labs in online mode, labs require you to work with data and you create some charts as well. Okay, let me create another chart. Let me create a simple column chart. Again, this is also displaying the distribution of each of these things, right? So this is the chart that I am creating here, and it is showing the distribution of each of these. So tells me that food and um, again food. So both of these are food. This is also food, and this is also food. So both of these things have the highest distribution, which means that food essentially costs the highest. So that is another type of chart. Now, since I have food more than once, and so I have food more than once, what I can do is whenever we have items occurring more than once, and that is the time we talk about frequency, right? Even when we study mean, median, mode, when we study mode is basically when we are talking about items which have high frequency. So suppose I bought, so number of items that I bought, right? Let's add another column, number of items. Suppose I bought 2 units of fuel, whatever it is, liters or whatever. Suppose I bought 10 packets of food, and suppose the number of items for sports is 3, and so on. Suppose there's some number that is there for each of these things. Now, whenever I have this kind of thing, I want to see the histogram. So for histogram, what you can do is you can simply again, suppose I want to see the histogram for only this part. I can go to insert and all charts. Here there's a histogram option. Now I've created this already here. Now what it's doing is, this is a different kind of histogram. It tells me that from 20 to $91. So I'm talking about the amount on the x-axis. So from 20 to $91, we have about three items. Can we identify which one of them, which of them do we have in this bucket? These are sports, music, and fuel. Similarly, in 91 to 163, we have two items. And similarly, from 163.3 to 235 amount, we again have three items. We have two items, sorry. Two and two here, three items here. I want to talk more about the histogram because this is very important. You'll be using it a lot in data analytics. Is everyone with me till here? Are there any questions on the histogram or charts?
Can
Sir,
you
can you show
increase the
one
number
time
of
how to?
bars?
Sorry.
Sir, can you
Yes.
show how to insert a histogram again?
Okay. Let's see how to insert a histogram. Very simple. Just select this, just select which type of data you want to insert a histogram for. Go to this recommended chart, select all charts and select histogram and click OK. So this is the histogram that you'll see. Now basically, I'll just add the data labels also. It is telling me that five items have an amount between 20 to 180 and two items have an amount between 180 to 340. And this is the amount that we are talking about, this D column. All right. So I want to talk more about the histogram. And suppose I want to see more buckets, more bins here, right? Last time we talked about normal distribution. And if you remember, there was one particular theorem which we talked about, that when we have a lot of data, then that if you have a huge amount of data, then the distribution usually tends to a normal distribution. So we'll not move into that as of now, but let's just say that we want more bins here. We want to see more bins. So this here is a bin. There are two bins that we have here. So suppose we want to see more bins here. Now what do we do in that case? I select this the labels here. I click the right this is the right mouse button and format axis. And now this is showing me the bin options. This is showing me the access options where I have the bins. So here it is automatically created some bins for me, but I want to create, let's say, five bins. So if you can see now I have five bins here, right? It has automatically created five bins with equal width for me. So all of these have 43 as the width, if you notice. But I suppose I want to change the bin width also. Suppose I want to keep the size of bins as 40. So it will automatically again readjust the entire chart. And I find this very interesting. I'm sure you will also be finding this very fascinating because histogram is one of the charts which statisticians again statisticians and mathematicians, all of these people, even data scientists, um, I think many other machine learning engineers, AI engineers, all these people use histograms. So this is one type of chart which you should know. So if you see, we can simply adjust the bin width and the bin size, whatever, using this. Then there are options like overflow bin and underflow bin. Suppose I want a separate bin from 0 to 60. So in that case, I'll simply use an underflow bin. One second. Yes. So in that case, I'll simply uh, so in let's check whether So in this case, I don't have data above 260, right? So in this case, it will not display any of these overflow and underflow bins. But I'll tell you what these mean essentially. So if you want to create a separate bin, so if you notice in some graphs you have a kink, we display a kink, right? So which means that suppose the data is starting from 1000 and then all the values are like 1000, 1020, 1040, then 1100, 1150, 1200, right? Let me display it here. Suppose these are the values that I have. Uh, then we have 1100. These kind of values we have, and we want to display it on a bar chart. Then what we do is, since the graph is and we want to maybe make a graph, a handmade kind of a graph on our own. In that case we usually put a kink there. So 0 to 1000 we simply put a kink so that we don't need to display all those buckets there. In a histogram case it's very similar. So we can simply club 0 to 1000 in one bucket. Then maybe okay, let me write the buckets. Yes, let's say 0 to 1000 is one bucket, 1000 to 1050 is another, then we have 1050 to 1100. uh, that will be here, and this will include this one as well. Then we have other buckets like 1100 to 1150, all those buckets. And then maybe we'll get a 1450 to 1500 kind of a bucket here. So the bucket size here is 50. That can change, of course, can increase, decrease, whatever. But the purpose of this discussion was that there can be a bin which has a huge range. So this is a 0 to 1000 bin which has 1000 data points in it. Like this is the range of this is 1000, but the range of all the other bins is 50, right? So basically, we can understand that this one, like the first one, is like the underflow and overflow options that I just displayed. This overflow bin and underflow bin. Overflow bin can be like a 1500 to 2500 kind of a bin. So again, the um, range is huge here. So I think this makes sense. Basically, even if you didn't understand this, just make sure that you get a brief gist of the histogram. Then we have other type of charts as well. Um, there are a lot of there are many types of charts. There's also a particular type called tree map. This is also very interesting. It shows me what's the distribution of each of these. So what's the share of each of these types of items. So if you see food and food, both of these are food. These items have a huge share. Then the minimum share is occupied by music. So music is the least expensive item in this case. Um, all right. I think you guys have understood. Let's move to filters. Now, suppose I want to display only the data after only the data of February here. So if you move to the date here, it has January and February. Suppose I want to filter it. What I'll do is I'll select this. I'll move to this home. So earlier it was like this. So what I did was I'll select this. We'll move to the home tab and there's this filter button here. I'll filter it. Now this down arrow key kind of a thing appears here. This button appears here. And when I click on this, there are all these filters that are displayed. So for 2017, I can only display February, whichever I want. So suppose I just want January, I can display only the January columns. And the beauty of Excel is that all my graphs have accordingly been adjusted. Let me show you that. So all the graphs, all the tables that I create that are linked to this, everything that is linked to this will be automatically adjusted. Suppose I'm just showing January, everything, if you notice, all these graphs will be changed automatically. Suppose I just want February. Suppose I just want February, it will display this. It will automatically change. All the graphs will change. And even the values that are associated, right? If you notice earlier, there was a value that was written in VLOOKUP. but now there's no value. That will also change. See this value, then these values also were not, these values also got changed. Okay, so this is filter. Then there's a very simple feature, sorting, where we can sort. So these are dates. Suppose I want to sort oldest to newest, which means that the oldest is 25th February. That is the oldest date that we have. To newest. Sorry, 1st Jan is the oldest date that we have. 25th Feb is the newest date that we have. So suppose I want to sort oldest to newest. It is already that way. Let's sort newest to oldest, which means 25th will be on the top. This is the newest date, and the oldest date, which is 1st of January, will be at the bottom. I think this makes sense. You guys must have understood this. If there are any questions, feel free to ask now. All right.
Yeah, I missed that part. How did you got that arrow on the cells? The
The filter,
yes, the
right?
filters.
So it's very simple. Um, I think you can. Can you see the Excel sheet?
Yes.
Yes, Vijay.
So if you want to display the filter, simply go to the Home tab, go to the Filter tab here, Sort and Filter, and select this filter button. Right? Then these arrows will appear. Select any of these arrows. Suppose I want to display only the amount greater than 100. So I'll just click on this filter. I'll select a number filter here, and I'll select greater than. So if you notice, there are all these options, greater than or equal to, all these options are there. So suppose I just want to view only the amounts greater than 100. I'll select this one. I'll type 100 here and click OK. So all the amounts greater than 100 are displayed. Similarly, if I want to sort from largest to smallest, it is sorting largest to smallest, 235, 235, then basically in descending order. And this, I think you noticed that this chart also changed. This is also sorted from in descending order. Similarly, this will again change. So the charts are linked to the Excel, the data table. Whatever change you make here will automatically be made in all the other linked tables that you create, or the charts, whatever formulas you have written with respect to this table, everything will accordingly change. All right. Now let's remove this filter.
भाई
Yes. Okay. Are there any other questions?
भैया एक बार किंग बता दो दोबारा से
Kink is basically like this is not one of the topics which I wanted to cover. I'll just tell you कि उसकी क्या significance है. Um, I want to draw here. Let me. Okay. So basically, if you whenever you draw a graph, right? Sometimes the values that you want to draw, they are sometimes the values which you want to plot, they are very very different from whatever values that you can plot on graph. So suppose there's one value which is 50, then there's one value which is 1000, right? Then other values are like 1100, 1200, and so on. So in this case, this 50 is like an outlier. Or even if you suppose you don't have this 50, even now you want to plot this on a graph. Now that graph can there's a possibility then that the graph can start from 1000 itself, but you know for a fact that when we draw the x and y axis, we have the zero as the origin, right? So wahan pe if you want to display that on a graph, you need to draw a kink. So a kink is not something that is related to Excel. It's just that you might want to understand this from a histogram point of view. So this is not something which is absolutely necessary, but I'll just show you a picture also. I think you will relate more from by seeing that picture. So this is the picture I was talking about. So so if you see, now I think everyone will be able to relate, because you people must have drawn a kink at some point in your maths, in your study. So I think if you want to, suppose let's say you want to plot these values, right? Suppose you have values mostly from 200 to 240, then but the graph of course starts from zero. The x-axis starts from zero. So here you want to you don't want to plot all of this, so you can simply draw a kink, right? So I think this would make it very clear now. Similarly, in Excel, you have a separate, in Excel, when you draw a histogram, you can simply add a separate bucket. Let me show that. You can simply add a separate bucket there, and that bucket can is like an underflow bin. That's like a separate bin. Let me draw a histogram again. So this is a histogram, and suppose you want to draw an underflow bin. So it's just like, clubbing all the items below a particular number in one bin. So that is like an underflow or overflow bin. That is all. That's all you need to understand. I think even if you don't understand this and you still know the essence of histogram, what does a histogram mean? How is it plotted? Then also it's fine. That's what is needed. And you can also change the design of these graphs from here. So there's this chart design column. You can go here and select the design of these charts. So that can be done for any chart, right? So um, there are lots of features for charts as well. So I think we started at about 10:45, and it's already we started around 9:45 and it's already 10:43. There are two or three very important topics that I need to cover, but I won't take them now. We'll cover them in the next session. Just to end the session briefly, um, I'll just tell you what is next. So we have so from an interview point of view, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP are the most important features in Excel. Then we have transpose and or match index. These are more advanced features. Then we have the most important concept in Excel, which is pivot tables. Then we have macros, and then we have other stuff. So I think this would be the last topic within Excel. And then I would recommend you to, I'll be sharing one more video immediately after the session. Watch that video as well. And I shared two videos before the session also. So these are like 25 minutes, 30-minute videos. Watch them at 1.5x speed and you'll be able to cover them within 1 hour. So watch these videos. And so if you want, you can also read about VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. You can, so I'll not be covering this basically, and this is not like very important, but if you want, you can, this is another topic that I'll not be covering and you might want to read about it. So that is Visual Basic. um, so you don't need to read about machine learning. This is after the next session. So in the next session we'll complete Excel, and we will probably start with some basics of machine learning. And again, finally, the last and most important part, sneak peek of the next session. I've already told you that we'll be covering VLOOKUP, match index, pivot tables. These are some important um, features in Excel. And post that, we'll start with machine learning, which is like, um, which is probably one of the most important topics in data science. So whenever we talk about data science, right, we don't only talk about data. We also talk about prediction. We talk about modeling. Uh, we talk about those machine learning algorithms. So we'll spend about 2 sessions on machine learning. So a brief sneak peek of machine learning. I have already prepared the slides. So for machine learning, we'll cover data science. Like we'll touch upon what is data science, then we'll relate it with machine learning, and then some definitions, and then we'll move to the tech part. Finally, we'll understand the differences between machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence. And after that, we'll move to the classification of machine learning and some tech, some maths of machine learning, all of that. So there's a lot to come. And but in the next session, we'll cover Excel mostly. If there's time left, then we'll also start with basic machine learning. Just want you to watch all the 2 or 3 videos, the Edureka videos that are there. Quick access toolbar, maybe we might take that up in the next session. If not, then remind me, I'll just explain separately. All right. If there are no more questions, I think we can close the session and wish you guys all the best. Let's meet next time.